Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about 90 Day Fiancé Season 8, Episode 8, and it's called Unsure and Insecure. So the first couple that I'm going to be talking about is actually Andrew and Amira. And as I said in the previous video, where we're at is that Amira has been deported back to France, and she kind of did like a little interview where she talked about her experience, and she also mentioned that Andrew had not contacted her since she had been deported back to France. So the first thing that I wrote down in my notes is that her father must have been worried to not know about the status of your child for 3 days, to just know that they were deported and then their significant other isn't really much of a help either. That must have been a really scary time for her father. We also see that Andrew seems to be having a grand old time in Mexico. He kind of made it seem like, well, I'm here, might as well enjoy my time, which, I get it to an extent. You already paid for it, but to her, it just seems like now you're just living your best life now that she's not there. And he really was. I mean, he's like ATVing, he's going to restaurants, he's having the time of his life. And she's just like, well, that's great for you, but what are we supposed to do now? And then he suggests that she goes to, I believe, Serbia to try this experience all over again. And he also mentioned that he won't be able to go to the country with her. So you saw what happened in Mexico. She was deported and you were there. Now you're wanting her to go to a completely new country and you won't even be able to do that. And like she said, the country that he wanted her to go, their COVID cases were surging. So, at any time, they could have said, we're not allowing you to leave the country. So I'm not really sure what Andrew was thinking with that suggestion. He always has a plan to do something. Aftermath, quote unquote, of their big fight. If you don't remember, she was calling him low class, and they really they butted heads. Like nothing either one of them said could be right, so to speak. And then we see in this episode, I believe it was Natalie that said, either I am married or I am right. I prefer to be right. Fight is private. And it's like, ma'am, we all saw the fight. It's broadcast on national television. We all saw what happened, so you really can't get past that. And then we see later on that Mike's mom actually showed up, and later on we see that Mike's mom showed up, and Natalie mentions that everyone takes Mike's side, like even her own mother takes Mike's side. And I just put in my notes, what does that tell you? That everyone's saying that Mike is, a great guy, and then you have the opposite interaction with him. Obviously something is off there if everyone thinks Mike is great except for you. And then they ended up going to a restaurant, and it was a very awkward encounter. It was going well, and then, Natalie has this whole thing about eating healthy, and she's telling Mike not to eat butter. And then his mom is like, no, butter's good for everyone. And that was just kind of weird, because it's like, here you have Natalie being like, no, don't do that. And then his mom is like, no, do it. Like, that would get awkward for sure. And I just put down, finally, a mom who lets her son or their child decide. We've seen countless times where it's like the parents are always trying to interact and kind of sort of take over someone's relationships and have a strong influence, i.e. Colty and his mother. And here she kind of just said her piece and was like, at the end of the day, he's gonna have to decide how he wants to live his life. So that was really good. And I feel like having Mike's mother there kind of got through to Mike, because he did kind of see Natalie's side to things, in the fact that she left everything behind and now she's in this foreign country, foreign place, and especially where they're at, there's like nothing around, nothing within walking distance. You know, they don't live in a heavily populated city or something like that. So, you know, you kind of have to give Natalie a little bit of slack in the fact that she really is in a brand new place with brand new people, and we haven't really seen her interact with other people while she's been there. It's just been Mike's family and Mike, and you know, a couple people at a restaurant or something like that. She's really not able to establish her own footing because of their location. So I'm sure all of that kind of plays into the way that Natalie is um, kind of being portrayed, or the way that she comes across on camera. So yeah. Yeah. Okay, so next up we have Ryan and Stephanie, and in the episode we see that the borders are opened up in Belize and Stephanie is getting ready to see Ryan. So she is packing all her stuff together, and she said that she bought this man 12 watches. 12. And that one of them cost $3,000. Now I know Stephanie's in a different bracket than me, you know, I don't have Stephanie money, but that seems a little excessive, especially since she then later on mentions that he tends to lose things that she gets for him, and I'm just like, but 12, you know, that seems like a lot, at least to me. To each their own. But yeah, I know I've seen some of the comments on what people say about where his stuff is really disappearing to, but I'm not going to say that. You can read those on Instagram. People are always in the comments on the various 90 Day Fiancé pages on Instagram. The comments are always funny to me. I follow quite a few of them. Also, can we retire the coupley pictures on stuff? Like in this one, I'm going to insert a picture. Stephanie has a picture of her and Ryan like on a mask, but it just reminded me of Rebecca and Ziad when she had the picture of them on her shirt, or on the coffee cup, or in the picture frame, or wherever else Rebecca could post their picture. She always had it all over the place, but that just reminded me of her. Stephanie's mask reminded me of Rebecca and Ziad. And then, you know, he was very excited to see her. I think he had like balloons or flowers. That was cute. But then eventually they got back to the hotel room, and she opens up his suitcase to give him all his stuff, and then he's like, you know what, I really would rather have the money. I think he mentioned that in a confessional, but I'm like, why don't you just tell her that? But obviously, you know, she bought him like a bandana or something, because she's like, I prefer you with a bandana look. So it seems like she's trying to like dress him a certain way. So she's buying him all of these things so that she would, you know, find him attractive. I don't know what she's doing, but the man wants his money, Stephanie. He wants the money, not the clothes, the money. And then she is very open about her and Ryan's relationship. In fact, she tells everyone that they do it like 4 times a night, and she brought, you know, the condoms to prove it, and it's like a whole pack, and he's like, that's for day 1 and day 2 and whatever, and it was uncomfortable. But in a confessional, he's like, Stephanie keeps up, you know? He's like, yeah, she keeps up with me. And then on my seat on the couch, I'm like, okay. And then, you know, she probably hasn't been in Belize for like 2 hours, and she's already like, I need to see your phone. What's going on with your phone? You know, I can't trust you and stuff like that. And I'm just like, if you can't trust him, then leave him. Why are you putting up with this? You're miles away, thousands of miles away from him, and every time he doesn't answer a text or a call, you're going crazy. You're calling his mother to find out where he is. Why would you want to put up with that? I don't get that at all. But he unlocked his phone for her like immediately, which I thought was nice, I guess, maybe. And I saw later on, she's like, well, maybe you did it because you knew I would ask. I don't know. I just took it as he immediately did it, like no questions asked. Okay, so next up we have Brandon and Julia. And I don't know if she said this or this is just in my notes, but I just put that Julia is in Groundhog's Day. It's like the same day happening consistently all of the time. She wakes up, she feeds the animals, she goes back inside, she's alone till Brandon comes home and they spend 2 hours together or however long they spend together, and they go to bed, and it's like the same thing happening over and over again. And eventually she called her dad about it because she seemed to be just sick and tired of this. And her dad said, two cooks in one kitchen won't get along. And I thought that was interesting because I didn't really see the dynamic of Betty always getting into his business, I guess. Or Betty trying to like keep him as a child, or Betty trying to, I don't know, still rule over his life. I'm not really getting that vibe. I'm just getting the vibe that he has a responsibility and he needs to take care of it. But I guess Julia's kind of seeing that where it's like his mom is trying to control everything. I didn't get that, but maybe they're editing it to be a certain way, but that's not how I looked at it. Um, and like I keep coming back to it, this is so exhausting because it's like been the same thing the last 3 episodes. But whatever they were doing before Julia got there, they need to continue it. I don't understand why they need her to take care of the animals if you guys were getting along and taking care of the animals without her before she got there. I don't understand why they thought she would want to jump in and do this. You're having her feed goats and pigs and sheep and whatever else you're having her feed. Grab the eggs from the kitchen, from the chickens. This isn't her life. This is not what she wants. I mean, if you guys were getting along fine without her before, continue doing that. I it's like the same thing every week. But then Julia kind of airs her thoughts to Brandon, and she's like, I can't do this anymore. So he sits down with his parents, and his parents' argument is that people would love this life. And it brings me back to how I said they signed him up on Farmers Only because that's what they wanted. They wanted someone that could run the farm with Brandon eventually. But it's like, go, and I think he said, like, go marry them. Um, that's not who I chose to be my future wife, and she's not loving it, so I'm not sure why they thought they obviously had their own idea of who they thought Brandon would marry, and then here he comes with Julia, and they just don't know how to act at this point. But that was funny that they're like, oh, lots of people would love this life. It's like, no, no, they won't. Like, she had a, like, keep stressing, she had a life before this. Farming was not part of her life at all, and farming is not for everyone. I know when I went horseback riding, I was like, this is interesting. Like, I like the horses, but I'm sure I wouldn't like anything else involving the horses. It's like, you might think the pigs are cute from a distance, but I don't want to be involved in anything to do with taking care of the pig. That's how I think of it. I think she really thought that like when they took her around, she's like, oh, that's cute and whatever. I just don't think that she wants to do the chore part of it. It's like, let me observe from a distance, like it from a distance, but I don't want to be involved in this at all. That's how I see it, and that's how I think it should be. This, she didn't sign up for this at all. Okay, so lastly we have Jovi and Yara, and I think in the last um, video I said that we're gonna find out if Yara's pregnant, and I don't have much about them in this recap, but we do find out that she is pregnant, and she was worried about whether both of them would be ready for, you know, kids, especially mostly, excuse me, especially mostly Jovi because of his job. He's away, you know, quite a few weeks at a time, and she's hearing stories, excuse me, from like friends that he's a partier, whatever. Excuse me. But she goes to the airport to pick him up, and she finds out that he is drinking at 8:50 in the morning. And I'm sure that was a little disheartening to her, because it's like you're worried about the fact that he may not be ready for parenthood, for fatherhood, and here you find him drinking at 8:50 in the morning. And he tried to play it off in the confessional, saying, I was on a long flight, I had a drink at 11 p.m. And it's like, sir, it's 9 hours later and you're still drinking. I doubt that's the same drink that they just gave you, at 11, type of situation. So you can definitely tell that she was upset about it, because her fears, so to speak, are kind of like coming true. So yeah. Okay, so that is the end of my recap for episode 8. Right? Yes, episode 8. I have recapped other episodes, which will be in the eye. Be sure to check them out, please. And thank you for watching. Like this video, comment below on episode 8, and subscribe to my channel. And episode 9 is coming soon. Eventually. Definitely coming soon. Bye.